This is really an interesting campaign on Hatteras Island because, quite frankly, when I came here 15 years ago, I worked with a group of people to try and identify Civil War sites, because if you've got a map of Civil War in North Carolina, the tour on it, the Outer Banks was covered with pieces of Confederate money. There were no sites here at all. We've identified 11 such sites since we started this process. And as we did that, we learned more and more about this particular campaign. Now, it's not well known simply because of when it happened. It happened very early in 1861. As a matter of fact, usually when you're hearing Civil War historians talk, they'll say nothing really happened much between May and September of 1861. Well, they're wrong. And they couldn't be more wrong, because what was crucial about this was when the war broke out, Secretary of the Navy Gideon Welles was asked what they were going to do about the coast of North Carolina. And I'm paraphrasing here a little bit, but he said, there's no more worthless, irrelevant stretch of coast in the entire southeast than the coast of North Carolina. Now he said that as I recall, he said that in March or April, all right? Now, by June, he comes back and he says that it is necessary to destroy that nest of pirates out of Hatteras. Why? Because in those ensuing months, Confederate raiders had gone out and captured enough northern commercial shipping so that the 6th largest marine insurers in the United States went to Wells and said, here's the deal, you either take care of these guys and eliminate them, or we're canceling all our maritime policies. Well, what happens to a country if you can't do maritime trade? Your economy goes down. So obviously they have to act. And what was interesting, and what we can't quite prove, but there's a lot of circumstantial evidence to suggest that what was happening is these pirates in Hatteras were in collusion with northern merchants, and the merchants would tell them when ships were passing and what they were carrying, and the privateers would go out, capture them, bring them back. The northern businessmen would collect on the insurance, and then the Confederates and the Northerners would split the profits from the sale of the vessel and the cargo. So it was a real shaky operation. But at any rate, it had to stop. So Gideon Welles says, all right, fine, we're going to do it. But he hasn't got a whole lot to do it with. The United States fleet is minimal at best. And we had how many ships available? What? 3 or 4? All of them are on foreign posts. And so they really put together a ragtag fleet to do this invasion. And who does he bring up? None other than Stringham and Butler. And I really wish Ed Beers was going to be here, because I would love to hear his take on Ben Butler. Most people are not overly emphatically fond of Ben Butler, as he was a heck of a politician, but wasn't much of a general. But what was cool about this was they were sent down here to fill up the inlet. They were supposed to block it, period. So they come in, and I'll talk more about the details of it. They come in, and Butler, bless him, realizes that filling up this inlet was a huge mistake. Don't do it. What does he do? Doesn't even change his uniform. Immediately gets passes to Norfolk, gets on a train, goes to the White House, goes to see Lincoln. Boy, wouldn't it be never that simple today? And simply says, you don't want to do this. You're missing a gap. This is going to be great. Just let us use this as an inroad. Hence the Burnside expedition in 1862. Now, why is this so important? Well, we'll tell you the obvious things. It was the first Union victory. It was the first amphibious assault, blah, 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 blah. But here's the real significance. This opened up the way for Burnside to close off the intercoastal waterway. That cut a major logistical artery to the south. If you don't have supplies, if you don't have ammunition, uniforms, medicine, you are going to lose. It may take a while, but you're going to lose. That's exactly what happened. The Pimlico Sound fell, all the coastal areas around it fell to Burnside by the end of 1862. The only port left open is Wilmington. That's it. Okay? So that means that the interior supply lines, the Confederacy, are now gone. From a logistical point of view, at that point, the war is over. Because it may go on for years. It'll become a war of attrition. But if you can't supply your troops, you are not going to win. It's that simple. It's an axiom of warfare. And that's exactly what happened here. The reason you don't know more about it is because immediately afterwards, you've got Shiloh and Fredericksburg, okay, which were horrific. Everybody knows about Shiloh, Fredericksburg, and they simply overshadowed everything that happened here. But strategically, This was a critical action. Come on in and see the rest of it.